All right. Welcome, everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing Jason. Jason is one of, I mean, actually is the lead for the Fremont Birding Circle. He does a lot of walks there, and I've actually met him on several trips. Uh, Extremely knowledgeable, and I find it, very nice to do the walks with him for a variety of reasons. He knows how to find the birds, but also the photography. So when I asked him for an introduction, and I just passed it along to everybody else, he said he barely knows how to use his camera. So not true. You will see his photographs today, and I'm really hoping you'll also hear the stories. And one thing, Jason, thank you again for not just leading the Fremont group, but you have been so open about questions, and people reach out to you for information, people reach out to you for tips, and you have been so forthcoming, and I truly enjoy that part. And one of the my favorite parts in the Bay Area is Coyote Hills, and you're probably going to show a lot of photographs from there. So, without
Mine as
further
well.
ado,
Yeah.
without further ado, please, Jason, take it away.
So, yeah, as we said, I'm one of the admins at Fremont Birding Circle. My main responsibility there is just leading the walks now, since Jerry moved, and I consider myself more of a hiker and a birder than a photographer. I'm a birder who takes pictures. Um, I really don't know much about how to use my camera. I'm not kidding. Um, but I guess we'll get to that. So let's start Alameda County. I live in Fremont. Coyote Hills is right down the street from me, 5 minutes away from my garage to Coyote Hills. I spend most of my time in a few parks there. But I'm going to cover the whole county, places that I've been or go to frequently to see birds that I can't find in Fremont. And I guess let's start there. Since you guys are photographers, maybe gear matters to you. I don't know. But this is what I've been using. It's all Canon gear. I started with a super zoom in, I don't know, 2012 or so, getting interested, and then switched over eventually to a DSLR, which is that Canon 80D and a 400 millimeter prime lens. And then now I use an R7 with the 100 to 500. What I was saying about not knowing how to use my camera, I see people put these settings and I never really know why. It seems to matter photographers. Doesn't matter to me, but if it does matter to you, this is what I use. I'm always in auto ISO. My shutter is set to 1/1000th when I go out. Rarely change it. Aperture is wide open. Rarely change it. I'll adjust the shutter if I have a low light or a super fast bird, and I'll adjust the auto ISO in a case where it can't, handle a white bird on a dark background or similar. And that's it. Post-processing, I use mostly just the Canon DPP software. All I do is crop and fix how cruddy the raw colors are. They come out terrible, nothing like real life. I just try to get them back closer to what I saw. And I switched from Canon DPP4 to Photoshop recently because I like the way it does white balance better. I have a lot of experience with Photoshop, but I never really used it for my bird photos until recently. And that is it about my camera. Bing, let's move on. So we'll start up here in the very northmost corner of Alameda County, and that is a place called Albany Bulb.
Albany Bulb.
And there's a couple nearby. Well, and a couple nearby parks, Richmond Marina and Cesar Chavez. And I just include these other parks because occasionally something is nearby. And so maybe a photo here and there will come from one of these other places that's right around the corner, or sometimes you just walk from one to the other. And the reason I put Albany Bulb in here, I'm pretty new to it, but it's become recently a place where people are seeing a lot of rarities. And you can see that here, this is the Cassin's sparrow. And well, this is sort of the kind of photo I like. These birds doing weird stuff, but we also do stuff like, just the normal photo of this Cassin's photo. And they're seeing a lot of unusual birds there lately. Murrelets, seabirds, ocean birds, they come right through the Golden Gate and get spotted here. And so it's got a reputation of catching these oddball birds coming in and that you don't really see anywhere else. So I went up there to see this Cassin sparrow, and that was really my only recent trip there. And I got lucky also and saw um, some a pair of bald eagles that had caught this common mirror, and they were just moving around from post to post, flying around, deciding the one eagle if it's going to share with the other. And there's that shot, and then also a portrait view. I like these eagles better than my normal eagles, so I included these photos instead of the ones so much closer to home. Um, these were neat. And then let's see. Uh, Nearby is I mentioned Richmond Marina. It's actually over the border, but the main reason I head up that way is to go see these black scoters. They don't really appear anywhere close to shore, anywhere else in Alameda County, but they come right into the marina there and hang out all winter long. And so you can go and get these, really close views of a bird that you just don't see any place else. Okay. And that's about it for up there. Next park, moving sort of to the east is Redwoods Park, and nearby Bort Meadow and Val Vista, which is another place that's just over the county line, but connected to Redwoods. So some of the key birds there. Um, are you getting an echo, or is it just me?
Sorry, can everybody else please go on mute?
Okay. All right. Its echo seems to be gone. So uh, Pacific wren, varied thrush, pileated woodpecker are the kind of main reasons that I head up to Redwoods. The crossbills are new. I don't have any photos of them yet, but they've been showing up fairly consistently in the winter, and so eventually one's going to come down low and get a nice picture of them taken. But I don't have one today. So here's that Pacific wren. They are singers, and here that's what he's doing here. And then the varied thrush, really, really skulky bird, tough to find, but this one decided to come out on the lawn for me. And unfortunately, he wouldn't turn around and face me. So this was about as good as I could get of him. And then I think a lot of people this year, when the pileated woodpecker was really out close, working on a nest right along the trails, many people came out to see them. They're still around the park. They're not as easy to see as they were this one year when this photo was taken. But you still hear them around, and I think Philip had seen one just a few weeks ago. This is the reason for mentioning Val Vista as being nearby. They get the Lewis's woodpecker, which is a tough bird on this side of the hills, easier over on the eastern side of the county. But they do get out there to Val Vista, not every year, but occasionally, and so make a trip out there just to see these guys. Okay, the junco here is just a photo of a common bird, but I like the light on it. And the wren-tit, common both at Redwoods. This photo was taken at nearby Bort Meadow. And moving on, so the next park is Crown Memorial Beach. And the main reason I head up there is for loons and snowy plovers. This photo here is not a great photo, but it was the only one that captured what I really liked about this bird. And this is a sanderling, and he only had one leg, so he would have to hop after the whole flock as they moved around. And this photo in particular captured him hopping, showing that it wasn't just a bird, perching on one leg like they tend to. This guy actually had to jump from place to place. And like I said, loons here. You get all three of the loons at this park. The main one is the common loon, this guy here with the big bill, and then this is the red-throated loon with the sort of medium-sized bill. And then the third guy is the Pacific loon, which I don't have a nice photo of. I've seen them, but always far away. So I'm waiting for one of the guys to come close to me so I can get a picture of him worth sharing. Also, there at the Crown Memorial Beach, further down the beach from Crab Cove, where the loons are, is where snowy plovers have an enclosure there. And so I believe they breed there. I've never seen them nesting, but timing's right, the location fits. This is one thing here that I like that maybe also I know a lot of photographers don't like, which is the tags on them. People avoid them, but I kind of like the birds with their bling on. So I kept it in there. I have shots that hit it, but this is what's going on out there, and I kind of like seeing it. Okay, semi-palmated plover, also sharing the beach space with the snowy plovers. A huge flock of these guys. There was 100 of them or so the day that I took this photo. So I just had them swirling around and getting my pick of pictures. It was tough to pick just one I liked. And this is a Eurasian widgeon, 1 in 100 from your typical flocks of widgeons that are out here. But this guy returns to Crab Cove year after year and will even go in the little duck pond where you can get nice close views like this one. And this one also in the duck pond there. And just a normal sanderling with a nice clean background. So I liked it for that reason. The house sparrow, a bird that a lot of people kind of neglect, as I don't really see many people posting photos of this guy. But I think his color is pretty spectacular, and I like this sort of symmetry of the X shape with the perch he was on. And another semi-palmated plover. I call this the demure pose. I liked the ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille look on this bird. Also in Oakland, or I guess Crown Memorial's in Alameda, but just right nearby in Oakland is MLK Arrowhead Marsh and the nearby Bay Farm Channels. And the reason I head up here is for Ridgway's rail is the big one. And then there's a brant that's been there for years and years, and blue-winged teal, and a good spot to see hooded merganser. So here's the Ridgway's rail. Most photos you see of Ridgway's rail will be him, along the edges of the mud, and you don't get a great angle on that. But at King Tide is when this was taken. King Tide, they are forced to get up and swim around in the water. And so I thought this was a more interesting view of the rails than you usually see. And here's the local brant. He just hangs out with the Canada geese on the lawn. But a bird that you can't really see too much in Alameda County other than this guy who shows up year after year, old reliable at Arrowhead Marsh. And blue-winged teal, a photo I'm not really happy with. I really want one of these guys flying. They're spectacular, but I just don't have it. So this is as good as I've got for the moment. And now going over to Bay Farm Channels, we have these hooded mergansers. And Bay Farm Channels is a neighborhood, and so these little channels attract these birds every year. And you get these neat reflections on the water with the birds. So there's the male, and also the female hooded mergansers. And this is spotted sandpiper. I like this one because you so rarely see the spots, and this was a good view of them. And the pelican, brown pelican, taking off from Arrowhead Marsh. And poor bunny got caught by this great blue heron. And this is Nelson's sparrow. He's showed up here a few years in a row, and it took many tries to get this guy to come out, but finally he came out of the weeds and just sat here and let a few of us photographers get as many pictures as we could take. Okay, moving on into the sort of eastern section, the Pleasanton Livermore area, we have Shadow Cliffs Park. And the reason I head out there is for the wood ducks the shorebird rookeries. See the wood duck here, the male wood duck in the marsh behind the actual lake. So you have to climb over the levee and down into the marsh area. The actual lake there doesn't get much bird activity. It's all in the marshes behind the high levees. And the rookeries are like this. This is an example with the double-crested cormorant, the one displaying down below, and then the nests above. They also have great blue herons, snowy egrets, and great egrets, all in these high tree rookeries, which are very much at eye level when you're up on the high levee, and in good light when you're there in the morning. Also breeding there is the killdeer. So big killdeer. And these are the baby wood ducks. This is I like this guy. Like, don't wait up. And great horned owls also breed there. Sometimes a couple nests, sometimes one. I think there's one group there this year that maybe fledged by now. I'm not sure. Haven't been out for a little while, but they started pretty early. This is from a prior year. Another baby killdeer. American goldfinch. American goldfinch is tougher where I am, so I always try and pick these guys up when I go out into the Livermore and Pleasanton area where they're much more prevalent. And another male wood duck. And moving on to the next park, which is Del Val and the nearby Mines Road and Cedar Mountain Winery. I sort of think of this as a sort of a driving trip. I will drive out. Some people also do Cross Road and Patterson Pass, which are similar situations. They're places where you drive from little stop to stop along the roads and look for birds at the turnouts, and then you can go for a walk at Del Val and mix it in there. And the three reasons to go out to Del Val are Pepla, Bell Sparrow, California Thrasher. Mountain bluebirds are at Cedar Mountain Winery specifically, and Cassin's kingbird as well there. I'm not sure if I threw in a photo of Cassin's kingbird, if I found one in time to put it in here. I'm very disorganized with my photos. So here's the female Phenopepla. I don't have a nice shot of the male yet, so went with this one. This is the Bell Sparrow. He's sort of native to one particular trail at Del Val, and he's a regular there. And the only place I've ever seen them, only place I see them reported, Cedar Mountain Trail on the backside of the campground down in Del Val. And the California Thrasher. You guys have easier access to California Thrasher at Uli Stack down in the South Bay, but I have to travel out to the valley to see them in Alameda County. And mountain bluebird. This actually photo I had to grab from another location. I lost all my photos, my nice photos of the bluebirds when a memory card failed on me. So I was forced to grab this from somewhere else. And I do have the Cassin's Kingbird. Okay, this is Cassin's Kingbird. This was also taken at Cedar Mountain Winery when I was there to see the mountain bluebirds. And Roadrunner, if you're lucky, on Mines Road. This is the female Roadrunner. The male was in the on the main or the starting page for Del Val. I saw the pair there. Only time I've ever seen them, but I know they do get spotted occasionally along Mines Road if you spend enough time out there. This is an old photo. It's pretty weak color, maybe taken with the super zoom. Not sure what year it was exactly. And white-throated sparrow, another bird that's a little more common there, but I've been able to find them more regularly in Fremont now. Kinglet, I don't know. I guess I just like this. I'm not sure why I threw this in. Background, I guess. And another shot of the Phenopepla. Moving on to the next spot, sort of looping around now into the southern section of that side of the hills, Sunol Regional Wilderness. People have been going out here lately for to see these pileated woodpecker that's there and quite visible. I've seen it, but never been close to get a good shot. The other reason I go out there is for the golden crown kinglet, which is right around the visitor center. Generally pretty easy to find. This guy. And one year we had an American dipper out there. It's right habitat, but it's pretty unusual to get one in Alameda County. So big deal when he was there. And a bunch of us went out to see him. Says Phoebe. Just common bird, but I like the shot. Moving on, Mission Peak. So this is we're now entering Fremont, places I go to more frequently. But Mission Peak tends to be a tough hike. So I make one trip up there a year, generally just to see these three birds, blue grosbeak, lazuli bunting, and lark sparrow. I believe I just heard that they've arrived. So I will probably be going up there this week or next to check them out. Oh, I guess a slight explanation here on this, the caption here, 3 stars. So I put this photo uploaded into eBird where I keep my library of photos. And I liked it because it was weird seeing this guy, sit down on this spiky plant. And I put it in and I was uploading some other photos and I came back and within seconds, somebody had already come in and rated this photo 3 stars. And so now whatever I describe something good or bad, I always end, like, oh, I really love this movie, blah, 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 blah. And then say 3 stars. Here's the blue grosbeak. They nest up there every year for the past few in the thistle plants along with the lazuli buntings. And the female with some nesting material, working on her nest. And the lazuli bunting in a more typical pose, singing away. And the lark sparrow. I don't see these guys too much anymore. I used to get them in Caudillos pretty frequently, but it's been years since I've seen them. So I tend to grab them up on the hillsides and usually at Mission Peak.
Jason?
Yes.
There's a question by Fred about horned larks.
Horned larks. Oh, well, there we are. We just got to them.
Oh.
So, yeah. Is there more to the question or just are they there?
No, he was just asking if they're there.
Yeah, so hornlark is there. This photo was taken up there. Generally, if you want to see them, you would go further up the trail, past the lazuli buntings, which you'll get to first. The grosbeaks are a little higher up the trail, and then when you get all the way up the Stanford side of the trail to the bench up there, or the picnic tables and the bathrooms and stuff, before you make the real ascent to the peak, they tend to be right on the trail there. So they are up there. This was taken on one of the trips. Sometimes I go past the grosbeak up there. Sometimes I don't. I found that hornlark is actually easier at Garin, which we'll get to in a minute, and I'll mention where they are on there too. So hornlark, I mean, what you're always looking for is, to get a photo where you can actually see the horns, and this is one of my better ones showing it. Rock wren also up there. This guy was my nemesis. I was chasing this bird around for a half hour thinking it was my first canyon wren, but nope, rock wren. He's quite common there. And just a western bluebird. Okay, so another place in Fremont where I go to get some very specific birds is Vargas Plateau. And those birds are the prairie falcon and the Frugious hawk. Both they're regulars in the winter. Rufous crowned sparrow, I think is year round. I get him at Christmas bird count. But maybe he comes and goes. I'm not really sure. And of course, the yellow-billed magpies are right there in the parking lots at Vargas Plateau. This is the prairie falcon from just this year or last, pretty recent. And this is the Frugious hawk. The light morph, this is my preferred one. The dark morph looks a little hard to distinguish from the red-tailed hawk. The light morph is spectacular. It's not the best photo, but it's the best one I have of them in flight, really showing off the white undersides. And I think that was the same trip as the previous photo. This photo and this photo, I think they were the exact same day. And of course, the Rufous crowned sparrow. He's you don't even have to go up to the top of the Vargas Plateau to see him. He's on the cliff trail at the bottom, so you don't have to drive all the way around 680 and then up the little windy road to get there. You just go to the base trail, and it's right along the hillsides there. Super regular. He's easy to go in and find him almost every time. And then the yellow-billed magpies, all right around the parking lots, or the parking lot at the top of Vargas Plateau, and they nest there. I believe I've seen them carrying nesting material pretty frequently. And another pose, me not caring about man-made stuff, but I really would like the back of the wings on these guys. They're pretty amazing looking, and I don't have one in flight, so I've kept this one in my yellow-billed magpies until I replace it with a nice flight shot. And quail are very common there. Again, right by the parking lots. Say's Phoebe. I liked him catching this cricket, so in the list it goes. Moving on. Hayward Shoreline, back to the shore. We're now in Hayward, right by the San Mateo Bridge. And Eden Landing is nearby, just on the other side of the freeway. But very similar environment. Possible, some of the lease turns may have been taken there. I'm not really sure where I took them. You can get them in both places. And aside from the turns, in the winter, we get Lapland Longspur at the Winton entrance to Hayward Shoreline, which has 3 entrances. But the Winton one, they're very regular. They show up right on the old trash heap. And that's him, Lapland Longspur. Only place I'm aware where you can consistently see this bird year in and year out. And then moving on to the terns, the least tern is the most uncommon. They breed here. There's a island that's maintained by the parks specifically for them to breed on. And so you get them flying in and out from that island, which is sort of fenced off, but they go out to the bay and you can see them go back and forth from there. Their typical hunting method, the dive, of course, fun to watch. And then the next one, I think in my top 5 favorite birds in the Bay Area, the black skimmer, the biggest of the terns, with this crazy skimming method instead of the dives that all the other terns do. And of course, the neat feature on him is his nutty underbite, that crazy long lower mandible. And here, oh yeah, I put these in here, some extra photos, because I thought this was interesting. So here's your tiny little least tern with a fish, very appropriate size fish. And then you go up to your forester's tern with again a pretty good sized fish for the bird. And then up to the Caspian tern, and this guy's catching, got a leopard shark here, much bigger fish. And then you get up to the biggest tern, and the black skimmer has the tiniest of tiny fish, constantly getting these tiny fish. I don't know what he's doing. He's got the giant beak and then gets these teeny tiny fish over and over again. They must make so many trips. A baby avocet still, yeah. Some white-fronted geese, northern harrier, pretty common on the hillsides there. And a black-bellied plover having real trouble getting whatever this shell was down. And some rock pigeons also on those same hillsides with the larks, longspurs, and the harrier hunting. Some slightly uncommon shorebirds, always there right at Hayward Landing, the surfbird at high tide, along with the ruddy turnstone. Very regular visitors there when the tide gets high. And a common bird, the marbled godwit, coming in for a landing. Black turnstone, really cool pattern on the backs of these guys, so I chose a light shot rather than perched. And cackling goose looks like a Canada goose, but you can see the smaller bill and the ring on the neck.
The judge to impose no more than $1,000 fine per incident of contempt.
Here we are at Darren Park in Hayward and the connected Dry Creek Park. This is really a key spot in the spring. We're actually going out Fremont Birding Circle this Saturday to look through all the spring birds. Orioles show up first to arrive usually. The hooded oriole that nests in these palm trees, so I like the palm tree background for him. And then the Pollux oriole that will nest in the eucalyptuses around the park. And lazuli bunting, these guys just arrived last week, so we're hoping to see them this weekend, the male and then the female. They nest in these thistle bushes on the ground. Violet green swallow, they nest somewhere. I have no idea where they're nesting. I've never seen what they're using, but I see them. The juveniles end up on the fences and getting fed like this a few times. The female red-winged blackbird. These guys don't get a lot of love, but I think the female's pretty neat looking, and the baby is pretty hideous. And Ashler flycatcher, another spring bird that shows up. They're all over Garin right now. I counted at least 5 or 6 on my last trip. Pied-billed grebe nesting in Jordan Pond at the south end of Garin. And black grosbeak. Black-headed grosbeak. And house wren nests right around the barn area. Oak titmouse, similar environment and nesting cavities as the house wren. Grasshopper sparrows. So grasshopper sparrows show up in the spring, and they're on the hillside. You'll go in to the south entrance, actually, is the easiest way to see them. You go into the south entrance at May Road and walk up to the Myers Ranch and then take the Peak Trail from there. And you just climb up the hill, and they are all over that field. Also, grasshopper sparrow, along with horned lark, like I mentioned before, for Fred. This is generally an easier place to see them. You don't have to walk up so far up the hill. It's maybe a 400 or 500 foot climb rather than 1,500. And another good spot to find quail up on the branches, singing right along the May Road from the May Road entrance. Not so much in Main Garin, but very common in the mornings down at the Dry Creek Pioneer entrance on May Road. And I wanted a flying bird. I had no flight birds in here, so I threw in the fan-tailed pigeon. Lake Elizabeth in Fremont and the nearby Gomes Park. Downtown, it's a man-made lake. We get some great birds there, migrating warblers, and then we have a native flock of breeding flock of scaly-breasted mooney now, which is they're spreading, I guess, through the Bay Area. I think you guys have some down in Santa Clara now, but this was the first place in Alameda County, and the flock is in excess of 20 birds now, somewhere between 20 and 40, I think. So the migrating warblers, you got these little wispy trees right over a small creek, and you get all these nice perches with backgrounds, and the birds coming up right out of the water to rest or staging to go down in. This is Wilson's warbler, and the rest of the common warblers, the Townsend's, and the yellow warbler, and the black-throated gray. Those are all our regulars. And then you get we get the oddballs coming in here too, like the palm warbler and the hermit warbler. This is Blackburnian, I believe, Blackburnian warbler. And then I mentioned the flock of scaly-breasted munia, pretty spectacular bird, I guess. Peter tells me that they're considered a pest in Taiwan. But pretty neat looking here. And swamp sparrow is a regular at Lake Elizabeth as well. We've been finding them for the past 3 or maybe 4 years, pretty consistently, right along the edge of the water. And grackles also quite common there. And Western kingbird, catching a fly. I believe this was my very first day with the R7, and I was so excited to catch something. Get that motion stop because of the eye tracking. Kilders in flight, pretty common. They loop around the same field that kingbird was in, and so easy to photograph. And a rarity that stopped into the nearby Gomes Park, the summer tanager. Okay, moving on to the places that are now within 5 minutes of my house, Quarry Lakes. Main reason people go here is for the grebe activity. Western Clarks, the bald eagle and osprey are common here. So the mating dance with the copying each other with these Western grebes, and here's the Clark's grebes rushing at the end of the mating dance, and then you eventually get the whole baby on board situation later in the season with the pair here, each carrying one of the babies. Bald eagles. So I put bald eagles here. We call these the Ardenwood eagles because they nest there or attempt to. They've really had no success. And so each year they spend less and less time at Ardenwood and more time at Quarry Lakes because they've just had no luck with their nests after the very first year. And the ospreys always fishing in Horseshoe Lake. The purple finch, a good spot to find them. This is the adult male. Ruby crown kinglet. I just like that you could actually see the ruby crowns into the list. And the European starling, another nuisance bird that's pretty spectacular looking when you take a minute and appreciate it. It's a good spot for lakes for blue-gray gnatcatcher and kingfisher, spelted kingfisher. And then the common mockingbird. Ardenwood Farm, also close to my house, 5 minutes away. Pretty good spring park, but in the winter, we also get woodpeckers. So here we go. We'll start with the hummingbirds, the Annas, of course. And then a lot of people come just for the hummingbirds when the fountain is running, but who knows what's going on with the fountain? They'll never give us a straight answer about when it's going to be on or off. There was a whole group of people that would just come for the hummingbirds, never investigated the rest of the park. But they were there to get shots like this. And the Allens, same situation when the fountain's running. And Rarity stopped by last year, the black-chinned hummingbird. I guess you get more of them where you are. And then on to the woodpeckers. So you can go out to Ardenwood Farm and see 6 woodpeckers in a day in the winter, starting with the northern flicker, the downy woodpecker, the hairy woodpecker, the red-breasted sapsucker, and the nuttalls, which is the most common. And acorn woodpecker. Didn't used to be around, but recently has been there past couple of years pretty consistently. And then moving on to warblers, I won't go through the common warblers again. They're the same ones that I mentioned from Lake Elizabeth, but we did get some oddballs too, like this chestnut-sided warbler and this Tennessee warbler and this Nashville warbler. Oh, and hermit warbler as well. All oddballs, all showing up right around the fountain in the spring and fall migrations. So September, April, May. And then the fountain itself with cedar waxwings, big flock coming in to take a drink. And then out in the back of the park, you get more birds like spotted towhee and the white-breasted nuthatch. The Zulu buntings occasionally show up, but not quite that common there. This is just one of my more favorite photos of the bunting, so I threw it in. Tanager regulars, they just showed up all over the park now. And chipping sparrow comes every year in April, but we haven't seen them yet this year. And this is a purple finch, but it's a sort of rare variety where he's not purple, actually. He's this goldish orange. And the creeper, brown creeper, one of my favorite little guys. And now we finally made it to Coyote Hills and Don Edwards, which are connected by a trail. Keeper here is everything. In most parks in Alameda County, you're seeing that's 75 or so birds residents, thrive for 100 birds, and in each of those parks throughout the year. Coyote Hills, I've gotten 100 birds in a single day. It can be done. There's 120, 130 resident species. So here is a white-tailed kite, the bird that got me interested in birding more seriously. I always liked wildlife, was always hiking and riding my bike in Coyote Hills, but seeing one of these guys after being there for so many years, I just got incredibly interested in figuring out what was going on with him. This is him in front of the sort of iconic Shark Rock. People tell me they don't understand why we've always called it Shark Rock. It looks like a shark fin to me. Been calling it that since we were kids. I don't think it has an official name. And another white-tailed kite shot. The red-tailed hawk, it's a common hawk. Looks like he maybe got some meat there, full crop. Northern Harrier, these guys breed out in the marsh. I'm still trying to catch a photo of the food exchange, but this was the sort of most ghost-like I could get of the gray ghost in a foggy morning. The sharp-shinned hawk and the similar Cooper's hawk. This is a juvenile who, for some reason, decided he was going to hunt by running around on the ground like a dinosaur. I watched him do this for probably 15 minutes as he chased stuff back and forth through the grass. More hawks, the osprey. These guys nest over in Don Edwards. They're trying again. They have a nest out on the Dumbarton Pier on one of the electrical towers. And again, the so-called Ardenwood eagles that I put here and in Quarry Lakes because that's where you see them more often than at Ardenwood. And the golden eagle. We had a pretty good year for the golden eagle. I think I saw Sri and Fred out there, golden eagle, if I remember correctly, this year. I did finally find him. I think I may have told you that I was having a hard time actually seeing this year's golden eagle. I got some good shots of him. They were gruesome, though. He was tearing up a rabbit, and so I went with a older portrait or majestic here. And then your falcons, you get all three local falcons, the peregrine falcon, and the American kestrel, and then the little guy, the merlin, carrying a dragonfly here. Moving on to owls, everybody's favorite, great horned resident nesting. I think this is the first year we have 2 nests going on simultaneously. So we've got 5 chicks in nests around the park right now. Some of them are starting to branch, so we should be seeing them fledging and flying around pretty soon. And the barn owl. This is Bandit from 2018. This was one of 2 that were born in the park and got banded right away. And this year's owl, I think this owl may be deceased now. We found one dead on the trails and haven't been seeing barn owls since. So this was him just about a month before. And of course, burrowing owl. We have between 2 and 6 every year around the park. This is one of the Nike owls, and then we have the no-name owls. It's the other constant pair that return year after year. And short-eared owl. And long-eared owl. Very rare, unusual to see them. I think only 3 times over the years we've had long-eared owl. And another short-eared owl out of order. This guy he was one that probably young, flying out in the daytime, just decided to land on this perch while I was walking down the trail. So I had to back up to take this picture. He was inside my minimum focus distance. And moving on to just a few of the oddballs, photos I liked of different birds around the park. This is pied-bill grebe swallowing a whole crawdad. And Virginia rail. Fred may have been here this day, I think. And the red-necked phalarope out in the salt ponds. The Bonaparte's gull. I always like these gulls. No one else seems to like them as much as me. No one else posts photos. The white-faced ibis. There's been one around lately. I haven't found it at Cowdy Hills. But there's one down at Pacific Commons right now that I did go see recently. Rock wren, always up at the very top of Red Rock Hill. Super consistent. And down in the marshes, the common yellowthroat singing and nesting there right now. Forester's tern. A fishing snowy egret. This is when they run the pumping station. You get occasionally these feeding frenzies where they all come down, all the egrets and the terns, the bigger egrets, the great egrets, they all just go bananas over this splashing water and all the little fish. And swallows, you get 5 kinds of swallows in a day, all the common swallows. This is the barn swallow. Some stilts. And murmurations of mostly peeps. Probably these are all Western, I would guess. But this is probably a third of the size of the murmurations that you can see out there at the end of the Shoreline Trail. It was just massive. Another Bonaparte skull. I told you I liked him. Sage thrasher. This is he's been there the last couple years. It showed up. I know it's been on and off before that, but the last 2 years he's showed up for a month or so to feed on these berries, day in day out, regular. And another regular, the glaucous skull. I think there's only a few in the Bay Area. This guy returns every year to the same pond and winters there. He just took off a couple months ago. And wandering tattler, only one I've ever seen. The white-throated sparrow, off and on visitor to Cowdy Hills in the winter. And I didn't really include too many ducks, but I did really like this redhead that we had. Just took off about a month ago. He spent a few months out in the main marsh. I like the reed that makes it look like sort of a light beam on this photo. And bitterns, people are going crazy over the bitterns for the last month or two. We've been out there with the Fremont Birding Circle last month, and everybody got to see some bitterns doing their crazy calls and flying around and staring at you while they're looking straight up in the air. Pheasants, this is what's also going on right now. People are coming out to see the pheasants breeding, or I guess breeding, preparing, right? Another one of the swallows. This is the cliff swallow. Regular at, they nest on these bridges at Don Edwards across the freeway. And so you can get these guys swirling in a circle and get really nice photos of them. Took this just a few days ago. This is snowy egret again, catching a teeny tiny little fly. Or maybe it was just a coincidence. I couldn't tell. This is what was in the photo. I believe it. Marsh wren doing splits. And loggerhead shrike. They come in the winter, stay for a month or two. And we end with the flamingo. One of the reasons that people go out into the salt ponds to see this guy. He's been out there for 10 plus years. And they call him Fernando. I call him Floyd. Thank you for coming. Let's see, how did I do on time? Hey, right about nailed it. I see.
Oh, this
Sweet.
was
I was
perfect.
worried about not having enough photos, but way too
You're
many.
joking. You're joking. No, this was spectacular. Thank you, Jason. Usually we hold off for questions towards the end, so it's a little bit of silence, but then we were all just looking at it amazingly. So very, very good photos.
Thank
And
you.
in fact, one of those things that I regret moving out of Fremont, and I keep thinking I have to come back full time.
Yeah, yeah. It's neat being by the park. I grew up in Newark, used to ride my bike, and then I lived in Hayward right by Erin for many years, but moved back to Fremont about right around 2000, and I've been going to Coyote Hills regularly since.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny you said that because I used to live about a mile from Coyote Hills, and I never
Mhm,
birded or bird photographed, and I didn't do much photography at that point. So I
mhm,
run every inch of the park. But
mhm.
I started
I've
birding
I've
after I
walked
moved to San Mateo.
I've walked every trail in Coyote Hills. I've
Yeah,
walked the new trail that's not open yet, and I've walked trails that have closed.
oh, it's
Every
amazing.
inch of that park I've been to.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. So, and for people who would like to join, the Fremont Birding Circle actually has a Facebook page. Please look it up. You are doing these walks monthly, correct?
The first Saturday of every month at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
So you can
yeah,
you can count on it pretty much. I haven't missed one yet, except for weather. We'll delay it on weather, but people just plan for that. I do the events a few days in advance, and I try and pick a place at the last minute that's going to have the best birding. So I'll check 3 or 4 spots and pick the best one, or maybe if there's some weird bird showed up, we'll go there. Uh, but yeah, everyone is welcome. It's free. You don't have to do anything in advance. You just show up, and we also keep the group public, so you don't even need a Facebook account to see it.
yeah, yeah. I think the more important part was the not just knowing the spots where to find birds, but the right season for it. So I've learned so much
Yes.
just being a part of the group. So yeah,
Mhm.
and if anybody has any questions, please feel free. And Jason, is it okay if they reach out to you directly, or how do you like
Of
it?
course. Yeah. I mean, Fremont Birding Circle is the easiest
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
I linked my blog there. You closed it or I closed it? Maybe I closed it. But you can
yeah,
also find that. Where is it? Very last slide.
yeah, that one. Yeah,
Yep, there. So Bay Area Hike is my blog. Years without touching it, and then I do something. Lately, I've been answering questions during the. It was so rainy this year that I had a lot of free time to just write instead. I couldn't go out in the morning because it was so rainy, and so I started finding questions that people were asking repeatedly on a Fremont Birding Circle, and just wrote up a big detailed answer. So like how to find the flamingo at Coyote Hills is very common, and so if on my blog there you'll find the answer to that or
and the ring
rails.
and the pheasants too, right? I think the pheasants have been a pretty common this question and discussion
Pheasants,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
wrote up. Yeah, yeah, a
Right, right.
really
I
nice
wrote up
article.
pheasants recently. Yep.
Yep.
Did you say
Yeah,
you saw eagles at the Albany Bulb?
I saw eagles at Albany Bulb. I talked to those early 2 photos were at Albany Bulb. One of the regulars there that I talked to for a few minutes said it was unusual to see them there. So I wouldn't expect it. I think just the luck of the draw the day I went.
That this year or last year?
This was just about a month ago when that Cassin's sparrow was there. I think it may have taken off now, but it wasn't all that long ago.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, eagles in the Bay Area, the ones to see are the right now are the Ardenwood eagles at Quarry Lakes. Uh, very very common there, and then seeing them at Coyote Hills is a little more unusual, but they pass by and fish out in the bay in the salt pond.
and the Milpitas eagles too, right?
The Milpitas eagles are much closer to you, and yeah, a much better show. Recommended if you're looking for eagles in the Bay Area. If you're doing county lists or something like that, then you sort of can't count on the Milpitas ones, but the Milpitas eagles are very cool.
Yeah, they have a pair of, I think the pair of chicks right now that are growing up pretty fast.
Where
Yeah,
are those?
I've been watching them on they have a Facebook group for the Milpitas Eagles, so I keep tabs on there. I'll make one trip down, but I haven't done it yet. I still got a lot of stuff I want to see in the county.
Yeah. Obi, that's in a elementary school called Kartner.
Right.
Repeat one more time.
Kirtner Elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's off of Redwood Road in Milpitas. Pretty sure it's Redwood Road.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, beautiful photographs, Jason. I would not even doubt it for a second you're a photographer.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to actually hopefully edit this soon and then post it on YouTube. And actually, I will put it up on the Fremont Birding Circle group as well, with the link.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good night. Thank you very much, Jason. Thanks again for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.